So can we expect more of the same in the president's second term? Here now, Brad Blakeman, a former member of George W. Bush's senior staff, and Simon Rosenberg, the president and founder of NDN, a center-left think tank. Let's start with you, Mr. Center-left think tank. It's great to see you.
It's good to be here, Laura.
So look, there's a lot of worry out there, a lot of anxiety about the economy and so forth.
Yep.
But there's a lot of anxiety in the business community because of all these regulations that have been pending longer than the 90-day period which is supposed to percolate in the administrative law system. And some of these things are quite something, you know, $1 billion plus for rear view camera, backup mirrors, and, you know, things to alert blind people from hybrid vehicles. I mean, it's all sorts of things. Some of them may be quite worthy, but nevertheless, he does push through a lot by executive fiat and through other rulemaking, does he not?
I don't think that's the preferred way of going. I mean, I think the president wished he had a better partner in Congress than he's had over the last couple of years, and I think you're going to see him. Look, he comes out of this election very strong. Republicans haven't seen a Democrat this strong since FDR. He won twice with over 50% of the vote. The last Democrat to do that was FDR. I think the president is going to be aggressive and try to push his agenda.
Carbon tax?
Well, I don't know about that. I think we know that we're going to see a lot. He's committed to try to do something meaningful in the deficit. I think we're going to see...
Wait. Did you say meaningful in the deficit?
Yeah, meaningful in the deficit.
I have an audio problem. You know what?
And I'm sure Brad will correct me when he comes up. I think you're going to see efforts on immigration reform, gun control. I think you'll see the biggest trade deal in the last generation. It's called TPP. I think you're going to see the pivot to Asia and other foreign policy initiatives.
So he's going to do all this by executive fiat? Because last time I checked, he still has a Republican House.
Yeah, and I think the Republicans would be wise. My advice to John Boehner, is to stop the extraordinary fiscal cliff negotiations, go back to regular order, pass a real budget, provide an alternative.
The Democrats might have also taken that advice to pass a budget over the last 1,300 days.
I don't disagree about that, and I think what will be important is to stop these games, go back to the committee process, let Paul Ryan do his job. Let's debate about our fiscal future.
We had serious proposals on the table that I think could have been considered, like Simpson Bowles. But let's go to you, Brad, on this. Look, I mean, I say this to my Republican friends. You know, they're all upset. Well, he's going to do executive fiat, rulemaking. Well, elections have consequences. The old cliche kicks in, right? I mean, they do. And it's clear that the president is very aggressive. He's going to use every means at his disposal. And then if Republicans don't like it, he'll say, make me stop, or try to go to court, take me to court. And the problem is, in court, we have very unpredictable judges and justices, as we saw with the John Roberts ruling on Obamacare. And that relief oftentimes is not going to be there, or the damage will have already been done by the time any objection is filed in court.
You're right, and I think the modus operandi of this president is, look, I'll try and do it the proper way. I'll try to do it constitutionally, but if I can't, then yeah, I'm going to rule by administrative law, and I'm also going to rule by executive order. We've seen it time and time again with immigration. We've seen it in health care, and his response is, if you don't like it, sue me, and we do. The biggest stimulus that this White House has brought is to lawyers and to courts, because he's kept them quite busy, and they'll be busy for decades trying to figure out and undo the bad that this president has done in overreaching his power.
And believe me, speaking as a recovering lawyer myself, they don't need a stimulus for the most part. But what would be a bridge too far for him, though? I mean, even with his reelection, which stunned a lot of Republicans, a lot of them thought that, you know, we're going to win this, no problem. Unemployment's so high, we're going to win. But what could he do that would actually, American people say, ooh, this is not what we voted for? Would it be a supercharged amnesty? Would it be some type of super tax on all of that economic development in the way of oil exploration in places like North Dakota today? Would that be enough?
Yeah, if he can't get cap and trade legitimately through the Congress, yeah, he could do that. He could also, as you point out, get amnesty as part of his solution to immigration.
Well, Republicans already said they're basically in favor of that. That seems like a gimme for him at this point.
They're not for blanket amnesty. They're for a pathway to citizenship, which is vastly different than what the president could do if he just simply decided by executive order to grant citizenship to people who should have been part of an overall comprehensive immigration reform through Congress.
Now, let me tell you what I think he's going to do that's actually going to backfire, and pardon the phrase, is this gun control thing. When you start looking at what Dianne Feinstein is really wanting in her new bill, you start looking at her website, I think that is the kind of thing that I think that's biting off a little bit more than you can chew, and using a crisis, not letting a crisis go to waste. What's your take on the gun control issue?
I think there's going to be an effort to pass more reasonable gun laws than what we have today. I don't know what it's going to look like. The president has a committee that's looking at it, led by Joe Biden.
Another Biden committee. Isn't he still tracking the stimulus? I'm sorry, the stimulus has been a huge success. I know people say that, but that's the last thing he was in charge of tracking is the stimulus bill. Summer recovery, are we still calling it that?
And look, I think on this and like many other issues, it's going to be a question of how does the Republican House react?
He'll take it to the people. He'll do the perpetual campaign on that as well. Gentlemen, great to see you. Thanks so much. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along.